Barrister Keremuna, flag bearer of the Popular Development Front, has unveiled 51-point manifesto ahead of the 2018 presidential election. Get his proposal for this great nation in this newscast. Plus, the Cameroon maritime sector will henceforth benefit technical expertise from the Brazilian Navy in the fight against insecurity on the Gulf of Guinea, thanks to the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the two states this Thursday, August 23 in Douala. Those are my lead stories, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and thanks for joining me. I am Henry Wana at the anchor in Douala. The Social Democratic Front has decided to ensure that internally displaced persons are given the chance to vote in the October 7 presidential elections. It was one of the resolutions taken by NEC members during an extraordinary meeting in Yaoundé, which was chaired by the party leader, Nijon Frundi. Let's have the extract of the party flag bearer, Joshua Osei.
One day after presenting the political program of its flag bearer, Joshua Osei, in Douala, members of the National Executive Committee of the Social Democratic Front (SDF) meet in an extraordinary session in Yaoundé to map out a concrete roadmap that will guarantee victory in the October 7 presidential elections. From the close to 5-hour in-camera deliberations, it has emerged that members have pledged to contribute financially for the elections. The campaign program has also been drawn up and a strategy has been put in place towards its implementation. At a time when the northwest and southwest regions, the electoral stronghold of the movement, are caught up in the deepening socio-political crisis, the SDF remains resolute to brave the odds and ensure that their electorates are given the opportunity to exercise their voting rights. Despite the ban on a demonstration against the setting up of polling stations in military barracks and traditional palaces in Douala, the party remains resolute to see to it that conditions for the presidential polls are met nationwide. Members of the shadow cabinet, as well as MPs and senators, answered present to give input from the base.
Let's now have an extract of the party flag bearer to the October 7 presidential election, Joshua Osei, make an appraisal at the end of today's meeting in Yaoundé.
Well, first of all, I can tell you it is not the last meeting, and secondly, we're confident. If we weren't confident, we wouldn't be here today. So we're very confident. Well, we are respectful of the law. The law provides, disposes that campaigns start 15 days before the election. We have in front of us an incumbent, and that is our challenge, to get rid of that incumbent. And I don't think we will be running after I'll call it a competition, but rather positioning ourselves to be able to challenge that incumbent, and we're very comfortable where we stand right now to get to that. I would like to mention here that there are things that are priceless, and the suffering of the Cameroonian people cannot be quantified in monetary terms. It's not a question of financial wealth. It's not a question of who has embezzled more money or who has embezzled money and who hasn't. I think this election is a referendum for the liberation of the Cameroonian people. The Cameroonian people that I have met, in contrary to what you just said, I have been from Kusiri right down to Yokaduma. The people I've met on the field, they want an end to this suffering. They want an end to this situation. They want to bring back, Mr. Biya, when he became president, most of the voters were not yet born, but there is one thing they understand and you learn in school, is that they gave him over a country with peace, work and fatherland. We no longer have peace, we no longer have work, we no longer have our fatherland, and so these people are sending me out there to try to reclaim all of that. So it's not about who has more money, it's not about the situation in the northwest and the southwest. Those are exactly the reasons why the Cameroonian people want this change.
Let's stay in politics. The flag bearer of the Popular Development Front has unveiled his political program. Amongst the 51 points, Keremuna plans to reduce presidential term limit and change the form of the state. Peter Sose read through the 51 proposals.
Cameroon, after the October 7 presidential elections, will become a federation if Keremuna succeeds Paul Biya as head of state. But the form of this arrangement will be decided through a referendum by the people. It is one of the 51 engagements taken by the flag bearer of the Popular Development Front to strengthen good governance, democracy and justice in the country. The presidential mandate under his tenure will be reduced to 5 years, renewable once. All members of parliament and senators will be elected, while the Constitutional Council will be empowered to dish out sanctions. The administrative system will also witness reforms, as the penitentiary will be attached to the Ministry of Justice, while the National Police will be placed under the Ministry of Territorial Administration, which will adopt the new name, the Ministry of Interior. In the economic domain, an independent body will be created to manage the country's natural resources. Total transparency in the public financing sector, and local enterprises will benefit from a local scheme. Muna also hopes to construct an electric railway line linking Yaoundé and Douala. In the social domain, access to low-cost housing, electricity and portable water to 95% of the urban population will be guaranteed under Akere Muna. He also wants to delocalize primary schools to at most 1 kilometer from the community in order to strengthen family ties. He will as well tailor education to meet the needs of the job market and redefine the status of teachers, and also introduce a health insurance policy. Cameroonians out of the country also have a place in the new republic. This explains why they will be represented at the National Assembly, accorded dual citizenship, and run a platform for diaspora support to the country.
The commander of the Brazilian National Marine is on a working visit to Cameroon. During day one this Thursday, a memorandum of understanding has been signed by the two states to combat maritime insecurity on the Gulf of Guinea. Details in this report. The Gulf of Guinea presents a convolution of opportunities and challenges to the international community. The reasons are apparent in a number of paradoxes, since the exploitation of the Gulf's oil and gas resources can lead to immense socio-economic gains. The resultant gap in governance challenges may far outweigh the dividends. Thus, illicit and illegal activities have affected good order of the region, posing serious challenges to the security of member states, including Cameroon. It is against this backdrop the Brazilian government, through her special envoy Quadros Paulo Cesar, commander of the Brazilian Navy, landed in Douala this August 23 to seal a deal with the Cameroon Navy to provide assistance whenever the need may arise.
Was to sign a memorandum of understanding between the Cameroon Navy and the Brazilian Navy in order to provide, to integrate a system of surveillance so that we can share information about for the maritime security and in the Gulf of Guinea. And the idea is that this project is a pilot project with Cameroon that later we will extend to, we may extend to other countries of the Gulf.
However, given the historical strength of the Brazilian Navy, it is no doubt a perfect marriage between the two states in combating the numerous security challenges faced on the Gulf of Guinea by member states. Let's now talk education in this newscast. Book publishers are assuring parents that the prescribed textbooks by the government will be available in the days ahead. It was the principal message of a press conference that took place today in Yaoundé. Let's have Roger Fongwe, a publisher, who now tells us what they are doing at that level to ensure that the textbooks prescribed are available in the market.
We always do a precision on this because I'm not speaking on behalf of the entire publishing industry. I'm speaking on behalf of my publishing house. I can assure that my entire list, anything that you see on the list published by NMI Education or by our partner Cambridge University Press, all will be available. As we speak right now, we continue receiving stock, and as of today, we have more than 50% of those titles available in the market. They've been already selling in the market. If you talk to the booksellers, you'll see they'll tell you we have supplied them those that are available already. So we're receiving stocks, and by this weekend we have the last arrival, the weekend of the 26th. We have the last arrival that would have covered all our titles. So we don't have a problem with that. But remember that at this fair, we have also invited other publishers who feel prepared to come and also speak to the public and reassure parents. And so they can speak for themselves, I can speak for them. Yeah, that's what I can say. My quality has never been a problem concerning any of my education books, so I can assure that our quality continues. But I also want to let people know that not only in books, when you start demanding for quality, be ready to pay as well. Go and do a bit of your homework on economics. You know, the demand must be backed by the ability to pay for the commodity in question. So many people want quality, but they don't want to pay for quality. But even so, our policy has always been to provide quality at affordable price. That's our strategy, and that's what we communicate everywhere, and that's what we've always done. So quality is not affected at all, not with us.
Where a book publisher talking there to Spectrum Television. A preparatory meeting grouping all stakeholders of the basic education in the littoral region ahead of the effective start of the 2018-2019 school year took place this day in Douala. Governor Samuel Dodone Ivaha Diboa, who chaired the meeting, called on teachers to remain professionals and for head teachers to respect the decision of the government to ensure a free registration of pupils at the primary school level. Darlene Fejo reports.
Stakeholders of the basic education sector in the Littoral region have been challenged to evaluate last year's performances of pupils, identify difficulties encountered during the 2017-2018 school year, and propose concrete solutions for an effective and successful 2018-2019 academic year. During a preparatory meeting this 23rd of August in Douala, the delegate of basic education for the Littoral region emphasized on competence-based techniques and inclusion at nursery and primary levels for better results. Yvette Kombi Pepsa also stressed on back to schools free of corruption in the region.
Nous attendons une rentrée scolaire sereine.
We are expecting a hitch-free back to school with effective start of classes on Monday the 3rd of September, a school year without corruption and highly secured. Chairing the meeting, Governor Samuel Dodone Ivaha Diboa instructed that the list of absent teachers be forwarded for sanctions and free registrations at primary levels were expected.
Il sera question de la transmission de la liste des personnels absents de leur poste de travail après la rentrée, de veiller à la gratuité des inscriptions dans l'enseignement primaire public.
Some minimum packages were also distributed to head teachers this day, and others will receive their packages before Monday, the 3rd of September, back to school day.
A 3-day seminar to primary school teachers in the Northeast region on the new curriculum introduced by the Ministry of Basic Education to go effective as from September 3 nationwide is underway. The huge turnout of teachers in the Northeast region, we are told, is a clear indication of their readiness to return to the classroom. God Joy reports from Bamenda.
As students prepare to go back to school come September, the basic education family comes up with a new curriculum after several years for the nursery and primary schools to produce active and creative pupils in order to achieve Vision 2035.
The last time that the curriculum for nursery education was in 1987, so many years ago. And that for primary education, so many years ago, we thought that those programs are outdated. And if we want to build children that will emerge come 2035, we need to tailor our programs to be able to suit the teaching we do in our schools so that these children will come out and be able to do the things we expect them to do when they leave school.
The regional delegate for basic education expects this new change in the curriculum to take effect on September 3rd, 2018, as the ground is being laid for pupils to go back to school in a week's time.
The regional delegation has taken every necessary disposition so that schools start each free. We have held a series of meetings with our stakeholders. We've instructed proprietors of schools to open their doors and clean up the environments. Registrations are ongoing, even though timidly. And I think that pedagogically, presently we are holding a seminar to acquaint our teachers.
Vision, content, inclusiveness are some elements that make the curriculum better and different from that of the past years and will be more effective than the formal curriculum to make the pupils fit into world standards.
Inclusive education, we have ICTs, we have mother tongue. these are issues that were not conceived when this curriculum that is going out of use was conceived. And so there is need to carry on the reforms of the curriculum of the Republic. And that is why we are trying to teach and train teachers to start implementing the new curriculum.
Parents have been advised to send their children to school come September 3rd.
With the back-to-school fever high in the air already, with less than 2 weeks to the start of the new school year, tellers in Boya are experiencing a dark cloud in their business, given the socio-political crisis in the southwest region. Clarice Ekowe visited some of them and now report.
Less than 2 weeks to the start of the 2018-2019 academic year, preparations by parents at the level of tailoring workshops in Boya is slow. At several tailoring shops, it is hard to come by a school uniform being sewed, as most seamstresses could be seen sewing neutral materials, given that no parent has showed up for their services.
As for this year, none has come. But for the past years, before now, I used to sew many, but the whole of this year, none has come.
Actually, I've not seen any of them yet. I'm waiting, but for this length of time, I've seen nobody.
The story is not different from others.
Before the school will resume, they will bring dresses. But for now, we are still doing but small patch that they are bringing for us to sew.
Thus, in a bid to survive, one must devise other ways out, as some seamstresses either engage into farming or sewing of fashionable clothes.
Sometimes when I don't have work, I have to go back to the farm to look for something doing, because it's really hard in Moliko.
I used to go to the market and buy some small materials and sew, like those are cabas there for sale. That's the only way we can do to have small money.
The scarcity of school materials in the market has also been a constraint to some seamstresses who, during such rush hours in the past, usually purchase materials to sew uniforms and sell to parents.
I always sell the material. There are no materials in the market. It's not going. We are just really managing. We manage mostly on patch, and then this Moliko, we mostly depend on university students. When university students are not, we sew to parents.
However, some parents have begun shopping items for their children in a bid to avoid being caught up with time and to ensure a proper preparation for back to school come September this year.
Pre-holiday campaign for the Southwest region has been launched by the Regional Delegation of Public Health. The campaign, which has as target the youth of age 18 and above, seeks to encourage denizens of the region to know their HIV status. Pelagie Ekweni reports from Boya.
In Cameroon, based on a demographic health survey carried out in 2004, the national HIV prevalence is estimated at 5.5%, with women and youth being predominantly infected. It is for this reason that the National AIDS Control Committee under the Regional Delegation of Public Health in Boya has embarked on an AIDS-free holiday HIV campaign aimed at sensitizing and screening the youthful population who are often exposed to this disease.
Everybody is involved, but the youths are more prone to the virus, or they are more exposed than the elderly, since they are more sexually active. Ages between 15 to about 45 years are more sexually active than the older ones, elderly ones and the younger ones. The youths are actually responding to make sure that they themselves are free of the virus. Those are already infected, let them stay, and so that the incoming generations will not be having the virus.
To these participants, carrying out this exercise is invaluable.
Working as a peer educator for the 2018 session has been a nice one, and having been in the community trying to tell our peers about HIV and AIDS, there has really been some positive response.
Also, the campaign agents reckons a partial response from the public.
They are very positive. So as of now, we have about 15 participants already, and they are actually responding.
On the other hand, while the majority of youths are proactive to this initiative, others are worried.
Illnesses that are even contagious. I'm not sure HIV is that contagious as other illnesses, so it is better you do your test and know how you do your things.
For them to know their status is very good, because if you know your status, you feel good with your status.
However, health experts have cautioned the active population who are resistant to this idea to always use a condom during sexual intercourse and to avoid sharing syringes or other objects which are infected.
The budget realization rate of the $3 Council as at now stands at 31%. This was the substance of a midterm project evaluation session which held today at the Council Hall in Logbaba. John Posama reports.
31% is the rate of midterm project realization and the 23% global execution rate, with over 800 million francs CFA in income and about 600 million francs CFA spent. This was made known during a council midterm budgetary evaluation at the Douala 3 Council, where it was revealed that certain projects have already been carried out, but more is still to be done.
Increasing in this year because we are trying to do everything to put our money together. But I think if the thing go like that, we can do better things day ahead. You know, we have problem of rain, and our ground is very bad because when you
The poor state of some roads in the municipality, like the Ndokoti-Yassa stretch of road, was one of the preoccupying concerns of some councillors, but the mayor assured all that the council has done its part and the rest is now out of their hands as they await proceedings by the government delegates to the Douala City Council as concerns the said project.
Particularly the road to Yassa is not in the power of the council. We have to do everything to make the delegate put it in the budget. They have put the contractors there, but I don't know why the road is not still beginning. But we are trying, we are doing everything.
Stiff recommendations were given to the various commissions in charge of carrying out projects for them to do more to ensure a higher percentage before the end of the year, while doing their work with diligence and a spirit of devotedness.
On a sad note, Cameroonian business tycoon and one of Africa's greatest industrialist Joseph Kaji Defoso has died at 95. The business guru journeyed to the world beyond in the early hours of this Thursday in South Africa after a protracted illness. John Posama with his profile.
Joseph Kaji Defoso died in the early hours of Thursday, August 23, 2018, aged 95 after a protracted illness in South Africa. He was one of the most famous industrialists and businessmen in Cameroon. It was in 1923 that Joseph Kaji Defoso was born in Bana village, west region of Cameroon, and at a very early age, he became interested in economic activities which saw him invest in the promotion of cinematography in Yaoundé in the early 60s. He became the first African businessman to start a brewery by creating in 1972 the Cameroon Union of Breweries, UCB, which controlled a little over 15% of the country's beer market. 2 decades later, in 1995, he created the biggest training center for Cameroon footballers in Cameroon, the Kaji Sports Academy, which groomed youngsters like Samuel Eto'o and many others. Aside the production of brewery products, the Kaji Group is also involved in the fabrication of plastic materials, cereals, and in the insurance business, as well as a host of shares in the real estate sector. After making a fortune in the brewery sector and other activities, Kaji Defoso went into politics, and in 2002, he became the mayor of Bana Council until his demise. The 95-year-old was decorated Grand Chancellor of the Cameroon National Order of Valor, amongst many other distinctions he acquired during his time on earth. His funeral program will be announced in the upcoming days.
May his gentle soul rest in peace. Let's now get news out of Cameroon with the VOA.
In a 3, 2, 1, and action.
Malawian director Flora Suya's first film, My Mother's Story, won special recognition last year at the Silicon Valley African Film Festival in California. And her movie, My Mother's Story, has been nominated for the Best Feature Film at September's African Movie Academy Awards in Rwanda. Despite the international recognition, Suya still struggles to find time and money to make her films.
As for me, I also do some things. I'm a farmer. Yeah, I do animal farming. So that's where I get money to invest in movies.
Malawian director Charles Shem Joya has won 7 international awards for his first film in 2009, Seasons of a Life. His latest film is also among 7 from Malawi nominated for the African Movie Academy Awards. But Malawi's film industry, he says, needs more support.
Yeah, the biggest challenge is to get the finances to make the movies. I think the biggest problem comes in because a lot of institutions in Malawi who can assist in the finances don't think that a film can be made in Malawi because we don't have a history of filmmaking.
There are no film schools in Malawi, so directors like Joya and Suya taught themselves using videos on YouTube. But while their efforts to build Mollywood are gaining international recognition, inside Malawi it is a different story. There are no cinemas in Malawi, so moviegoers gather at the video showrooms where most prefer to watch foreign films.
Filmmakers in Malawi prefer producing comedies, and when they produce a movie, their videos are poor quality. The storytelling is also dull, while international films are easy to follow.
Spouses and Workmates, episode 23, scene 9, take 1.
Malawi's filmmakers are confident they can change that perception.
I think we are on the right direction. We're learning. When we go out there, attend film festivals, we're networking, we're meeting people, and we exchange notes.
More official support would also help filmmakers like Suya spend less time farming. The Malawi government spends about $400,000 per year for integrated arts development. Only a fraction of it aimed at getting loans for filmmakers. Lamek Masina for VOA News, Blantyre, Malawi.
This 8 p.m. English newscast on Spectrum Television is ended. We thank you all for watching. See you tomorrow. Good night.